Hello everyone, I'm Manoj. I work as a full stack web engineer at PayPal. This video is part of my Learn in GraphQL series as well as my Learn in Public initiative, which I have spoken about in my previous videos. In our previous video, we built a REST API server using Express and MockDB, and I spoke about converting this into a GraphQL server in my next video. However, I wanted to add few more functionalities to my REST server, basically sorting and filtering capabilities, so that when we begin transforming this into a GraphQL server, we learn about how to handle these functionalities in terms of migrating these functionalities to GraphQL. So that's why I wanted to enhance my REST API server. I wanted to add filtering as well as sorting capabilities on the products. Basically, let's say I'm selling few products on my e-commerce store, and I want the users to be able to sort through different criteria. For example, if you go to Amazon, you sort your products using the average customer rating or the price or many other criteria as well, and you'll also filter by brand names and as such. So that is what I'm going to be adding in my REST API server as well. So let's begin. Let us fire up the terminal and let me start my server. Oopsie. Yeah. So this is my products endpoint. As you know, I have enhanced it by adding a criteria by adding a field called price, and this displays price has few more subfields like currency and values. For example, your MacBook Air costs around 65,990 and it's charged in INR, that is Indian rupees. And also we spoke about how do you add this brand name functionalities if it resides in a separate table, and basically we added few more functionalities. So I put all my code in GitHub, so you can refer it here. I have also added a link in my video description, so you can refer this. So yeah, this is my data that is residing in my I can call this as a database for now, although it's just a JSON file. Now let us, I want to add the functionalities like filtering and sorting on my products endpoint. Users should be able to filter by brand name and sort by different criteria. So that is what I'm going to do. And also in my previous videos, I added all these functionalities like fetching the data from DB and everything in the same file. This is not a good pattern to have. Ideally, all this data massaging and everything should go to the controllers. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to create a folder called controllers, and inside that I'll create a file called products. This will act as a controller for products and also one for brands. Now let's say I'll, although I'm not added anything in the products controller thing, I'm removing this DB dependencies. I'll import my products controller, require dot slash controller slash products. So ideally, we should not be adding any logic over here. So what I'm going to do is I want the product list to be sent back from the server. So this data should come back from this controller ideally. So I'll say products controller. Let's just add a method called get products list, and let us pass a rec object so that it can fetch all the parameters, the queries, and everything. And we'll only send the products list. Let's name it products list. Sure. So now everything should be controlled. Basically, your data messaging and data fetching, everything should happen in the controller thing part. So yeah. So now let us go back to the products.js controller file. I'll import my database here. Database. Let us not add any semicolon. Yeah. Now let us define a function called get products list that will accept an argument called request object. Now let us add a try catch block in case there are any errors. And this will let us add the try block now. So yeah, let us first fetch all the items from the DB. Now, as you know, I've used not a real DB uh, as my node module dependency, and it does not provide a lot of functionalities, a lot of APIs, especially if you are getting a product detail. So let me first fetch all the products that is there in my DB. Now let us handle filters. For example, how do you how will you send a filter? You will hit slash products, and after that you add some query parameters like question mark, brand is equal to Apple, or brand is equal to whatever the brand you need, and then maybe you add a sort capability. So now let us handle filters for now. So if my rec object, if your query contains brand, then only handle this. So const brand list, I'll fetch all my brands. Now once you fetch all the brands in your database, brand list dot filter brand, your brand's name should be equal to the query parameter that you're passing, and as you know, filter returns an array, so we want the 0th element of it because there will be only one brand that should match your query. And if there is no brand details, let us throw an error saying throw new error, brand not known. Ideally you can send back an empty list, or you can send a proper error message to the client saying your brand name does, the brand that you have specified does not exist, no products belong to that specific criteria. It's up to you, how do you want to handle it in the client. Now you want to return the items that belong to this brand, so your brand ID should match brand details ID. This is how you'll handle the filter. Something is wrong. Yeah. Now let's handle sorting. Now again, you can't specify all the any fields for sorting. You need to define uh, specific fields that you can sort with. So let us define a constant. It's called supported sort parameters. Now I want to be able to sort by price. I want to sort by availability factor, if the product is, how much is it available or not. And yeah, let us sort by name. It's a common functionality to sort by name. So let us add the sorting by name thing. Now extract this. This will be available as rec.query.sort. Now if it exists and supported sort parameters includes this sort parameter, then only you go ahead. You can throw an error if you know, but still it's good to handle. So you have already fetched the items from the database. Now you sort it, item A comma item B. Let's close the server for now. Add all the functionalities. So if my sort parameter is equal to, oops, something is wrong, price. Now, from the client, you can just specify price, but it need not match how it is there in your DB, because I want to be able to sort by the price definitely as a front end user, but it exists in this value field. So in the my backend, I want to be able to sort by price dot value. So even if you specify like sort is equal to price in your query, you should be handling it in your server to exactly sort by this price dot value field. So that is what I'm going to be doing here. So return item e dot price dot value minus, oops, what is happening? Item b dot price dot value. Cool. And I want to close this. So you handle filters, you handle sorting, you're modifying the items list. So in the end, you'll just return items. Now error, right? You want to ideally throw an error object that will contain maybe a error message field in the response. So instead of creating an object here, let us make a common utils for that. So utils, I'll get an error message. I'll just define a function get error message that accepts a message thing. Let us rename it to message. Now this just returns an object that contains error message field. If you provide the message, it returns the appropriate message, or default error message we can add. For example, unexpected error occurred, please try again. Now let us export this. Yeah. Now go back to your products controller. Require get error message. Awesome. Now once you get this error, you just return get error message error dot message. Awesome. So now you'll have to expose this module dot export. Also, I'll add one more function for fetching the details of the product. So let us add that function to get product details. You'll get the request object. Now again, let's add a try catch block. Your error should just return the error object back from the controller. Now how do you fetch the product ID? Oops. Wow. I'm sorry. rec.params.id, it will be available as rec.params.id. Now once you have the product ID, you will fetch the product details from the DB. Cons product details. So if you don't find the corresponding product, you can throw an error product not found. Now I'll have to fetch the brand details of this. So db.brands dot list. If the brand is available. Let's fetch the name, return back the product details. Just format it. Option Shift F, format your file. Many things. Now this is my products controller. In brands, there is not much functionality to add. It will just, you can sort by name of the brand. So let us add the sort functionality there. So require dot slash database. You will ideally export two functions from here: get brands list, get brand details. So whatever you added in the brand, sorry, in the product, copy the same thing in brands. There will not be much changes. Get brand details. This remains the same. Let us include that get error message as well. Get error message. Now this will become brand ID, brand details. Same thing here. You need not fetch any additional stuff. You return back brand details. Now for brands list, accept the rec, let items fetch everything. db dot brands dot list. In case you return, awesome. Now you have all the brand list. Now let's extract if there are any sort parameter. Rec dot, sorry, it will be available in query dot sort. You need not do a null check here for query. Query will always exist and it will be an empty object if you don't specify query. So if sort parameter, since only sort by name is supported, I'll do an items dot sort item A, comma item B, using the native sort function that is available. That does the job. Item A dot name minus. You can do an ascending descending sorting as well. You can specify, like for example, if I specify my query as name is equal to ascend name and ascending, you can do all these things, or you can even split this sort parameter with colon character, and depending on the string after the colon, either it's ASC or DESC, you can change this. Basically item A dot name minus item B dot name if you want it ascending. If you want it descending, you can do item A item B dot name minus item A dot name. So that works. You return back items. Now again, brand dot list doesn't run many functionalities. That's why we fetch everything at once and then do all this. Ideally, if you have a real database, you extract all your query parameters from the rec.query and you make a query in your table accordingly. Since we are using a mock server, mock database, which doesn't have all these functionalities, that's why we are going ahead with this, which is still okay. Now you specify the controllers, you modify your data, and you have a util for error message. Now same thing, no logic should exist in this file, so I'm going to be removing the same here. Now for brands list, brands controller dot get. Let me import it. Let me remove all these semicolons. Const brands controller require dot slash controller slash brands. Now you send back the brands list. Now again, brands list can be the complete brands list, or the sorted brand list, or just an error message if there is any error in the server. Same thing also here. Now const product details is equal to products controller dot get product details. You just pass rec and you pass back product details. Same thing for brand details, brands controller, this, you pass back brand details. Now let me start my server. npm start will be nice, there are no errors. So let's check products. I got back the result. Now let's say I want to filter by brand name. So I'll specify my query parameters. Brand is equal to, I just need Apple. So as you can see, I just got back the items just belongs to brand called Apple. Interestingly, I'm not fetching the brand name. So let me add that functionality. I can add it here. Where should I? Let me. Basically, I want to retrieve the brand items.map. So item.brand is equal to db.brands.get. My laptop gets extremely slow when the server is running. Return item. Now if I do this way, I need not fetch all these things. I can just do this thing. Wait, I still need the brand. Okay, let it remain. So my thinking here is, since I have the brand name here, I need not fetch it from the DB, all this brands list. I can just return item.brand is equal to get.query.brand. Or to be more specific, item.brand name. So you'll return an empty item. Nice. Cool. Let us test this. Oops. npm start. Something is wrong now. Let me debug it. You have your items. Oops. db.brands. This. Okay. Got it. Okay. So this returns an okay. This returns an individual object. Yeah, got it. Basically db.brands.get, and if you specify a brand ID, it returns an object, not an array. So I'm fetching an object which is something like this, and I want the name property to be added to the products list. So now in my products controller, once I have the brand name appended to my items object, if you have any query specified, I'll just check if the query matches with the brand name. If nothing specifies, we'll return an empty array. So that's still okay. Now let's do something called apply. You don't get back anything. Now I want Apple, and I also want to sort by price. As you can see, the items get sorted with their price. For example, 59,000 comes first, 65,000, 1 lakh 20, 1 lakh 89. I have also added few more functionalities. Availability, so 5, 8, 3 and 5. Something is not right. Okay, got it. Return item A, sort parameter. I only handled the price thing here. I did not handle. Cool. Server would have restarted. 3558. So this works. Now what if price is done, availability is done? What about name? And hmm. So again, I need to handle few more things like capital keys and small keys. God. So let me do it quickly. If sort parameter is equal to name, return item a dot to lowercase minus item b dot name dot to, you convert it into a lowercase and then sort. Cool. Now let us discover additional things if they are working fine. 9870. And what if I specify an invalid ID like 1? As you can see, I get back an error message saying product not found. Now same thing for brands. Apple, Dell, Lenovo, MSI. Here sort should work without any ADLM. That's working. Now what about ID 5671? Dell. So everything works. Cool. So now we have added sorting and filtering capabilities to our REST API server. And in our next video, we'll all transform this into a GraphQL and see how it works. Thanks for listening to this and stay safe. Thank you.